In the heart of ancient Greece, where sun-drenched stadiums echoed with the roar of thousands, the Olympic Games were more than a contest of strength. They were a crucible of human spirit, a sacred testament to excellence. From across the Hellenic world, the mightiest athletes gathered, their bodies honed to perfection, their wills unyielding. They competed for glory, for honor, for immortality, often entirely naked, as was the hallowed tradition, symbolizing purity and the ultimate physical ideal. The air crackled with tension, focus, and the fierce resolve of men pushing the boundaries of human capability. But what if, amidst this intense pageantry, one Olympian embraced that tradition not merely as a symbol, but as his ultimate weapon, not with a spear or a discus or a wrestler's grip, but with something far more disarming: laughter. Imagine an athlete stepping onto the hallowed ground, not just revealing his physique, but utilizing it with such deliberate, outlandish charm that his very presence broke the stern focus of his adversaries, eliciting not fear, but uncontrollable mirth. Could such an audacious, seemingly absurd strategy truly lead to Olympic gold? This is the extraordinary, almost unbelievable tale at the heart of naked glory. The Olympian who won by making opponents laugh. Tonight, we peel back the layers of history and legend to explore the phenomenon of a champion whose unconventional genius shattered the very notion of what it meant to compete. We will delve into the profound historical context of the ancient Olympic Games, examining the societal role of nudity in ancient athletics, the fierce competitive spirit that defined the era, and unearthing the captivating legend of Dionysius, the athlete who dared to redefine victory. Join us as we journey into a past where physical prowess met psychological warfare, where humor became a strategic force, and where one man proved that sometimes the most unexpected approach can lead to the most glorious triumph. Prepare to discover a story that challenges everything you thought you knew about Olympic success. In the heart of the Peloponnese, where the Alpheos River met the Cladios, lay a valley unlike any other. This was Olympia, not merely a place, but a spiritual crucible, a sacred sanctuary consecrated to Zeus, king of the gods. For over a millennium, from 776 BCE, these hallowed grounds bore witness to the ancient Olympic Games, a spectacle of human endeavor that transcended mere sport. Here, every 4 years, warring city-states laid down their arms, bound by the sacred Ekakeria, the Olympic truce, to compete not with swords, but with strength, speed, and skill. It was a pilgrimage for thousands, a gathering where the divine touched the mortal, where athletes sought not just glory for themselves, but honor for their polis and a blessing from the pantheon. The air thrummed with devotion, competition, and the whispers of legends yet to be forged. This was where heroes were born, and where the limits of human potential were redefined. Within this revered arena, another tradition, equally profound yet often misunderstood, defined the very essence of competition. The athlete competed entirely nude. For the ancient Greeks, the naked form was not a source of shame, but a celebration of kalokagathia, the ideal of harmonious excellence where physical beauty mirrored moral virtue. From the palestras of Athens to the gymnasiums of Sparta, young men trained without clothes, showcasing a body honed by discipline, a vessel deemed worthy of divine favor. This practice was pragmatic too. It allowed freedom of movement, prevented cheating by concealing weights, and ensured absolute equality among competitors. Stripped bare, all were equal before the gods and the judging eyes of the Hellenodikai. It was a statement, a philosophy, a primal connection to the human form at its most unadulterated, embodying purity, strength, and an almost brutal honesty in the pursuit of victory. Yet, amidst this venerated tradition of strength and solemnity, a legend. Whispers of an athlete who defied every expectation, who embraced the naked ideal not for its purity alone, but for its potential to disarm. His name was Dionysius, a man rumored to hail not from the Stoic warrior states, but but from the sun-drenched, irreverent coasts of Ionia, a region famed for its philosophers and playwrights, its vibrant marketplaces teeming with wit and theatrical flair. While others perfected their spear throws and wrestled with grim determination, Dionysius possessed a different kind of weapon, a mind sharper than any javelin, a charisma more potent than any opponent's brawn. He was an unconventional contender, a trickster at heart, whose mere presence suggested that the games, for all their gravitas, were about to witness a performance unlike any other in their long, sacred history. Dionysius's preparation was a radical departure from a norm. While his peers grunted through endless drills, sculpting physiques of legendary proportion, Dionysius engaged in a different kind of regimen. He spent his days observing people, dissecting their reactions, perfecting the subtle nuances of human interaction. He honed his quick wit not in the wrestling pit, but in the agora, engaging strangers in playful banter, mastering the art of charm and unexpected humor. His training was psychological, a cultivation of mental agility and emotional intelligence designed to understand and manipulate the very fabric of human connection. For Dionysius, true strength wasn't just in muscle fiber, but in the power to disarm, to surprise, and ultimately to sway the minds and spirits of those around him, turning expectation on its head. As the sacred month of Hecatombean approached, a palpable anticipation gripped the entire Hellenic world. From the distant colonies of Magna Graecia to the rugged mountains of Macedon, thousands embarked on the arduous pilgrimage to Olympia. Merchants, poets, philosophers, and, most importantly, athletes converged onto ancient dust-choked roads, forming a human river flowing towards the Peloponnese. Dionysius, too, joined this swelling tide of humanity, a seemingly unremarkable figure amidst the robust contenders already radiating an almost intimidating confidence. Each step brought them closer to the heart of the games, a journey fueled by hope, prayer, and the sheer magnitude of the impending spectacle. The air grew heavy not just with dust from the long trek, but with the collective dreams of an entire civilization, all converging on a single sacred valley, where destinies awaited definition under the watchful eyes of the gods. Upon arrival at the hallowed grounds of Olympia, Dionysius was immediately swallowed by a breathtaking panorama of raw human power. The sacred precinct teemed with athletes, their bodies sculpted through years of relentless training, bronzed by the Mediterranean sun. Colossal chests, sinewy arms, and formidable thighs were on display everywhere, a living testament to the Greek ideal of physical perfection. Each competitor seemed a demigod, radiating an aura of unwavering determination. Dionysius, by contrast, possessed a more understated physique. He was not weak, but lacked the exaggerated musculature that defined his rivals. Standing amongst this sea of muscle, his slight frame created a stark visual contrast, making him appear almost out of place. Yet, beneath his calm exterior, a mischievous spark in his eyes hinted at a different kind of strength, one no opponent could anticipate. Before any contest could begin, before the roar of the crowds, a profoundly solemn ritual unfolded. All athletes, along with their fathers and trainers, gathered before the formidable statue of Zeus Horkios, the oath-swearing Zeus. In the flickering light of oil lamps, their hands rested upon sacrificial boars, their eyes fixed on the stern visage of the thunder god. Here, they swore a binding oath, not merely to abide by the rules set forth by the Hellenodikai, the judges, but to compete with unwavering integrity and honor. This was more than a promise. It was a sacred covenant, a direct appeal to the gods to punish any transgression. The air crackled with the weight of this commitment, transforming the upcoming games from mere sport into a hallowed test of character, where victory without virtue was no victory at all. Finally, the moment arrived. The opening ceremony, a spectacle of unparalleled grandeur, signaled the true commencement of the games. Amidst the solemn rituals and fervent prayers, a magnificent procession unfolded, a vibrant tapestry of Hellenic might and cultural pride. Athletes, resplendent in their city-state colors, marched behind their delegations, their confident strides echoing the pride of their homelands. Dignitaries, priests, and the Hellenodici followed, their authoritative presence underscoring the game's immense importance. Sacrifices were made, their smoke curling towards Olympus, a plea for divine favor and fair contests. The stadium, now filled with tens of thousands of cheering spectators, roared with anticipation. The competitive spirit, long simmering, now erupted, fueled by the sheer majesty of the moment. This was the stage, these were the champions. And amongst them, one man held a secret that would redefine victory itself. In the hallowed sanctuary of Olympia, amidst the roar of thousands, stood the stadion, not merely a track, but the crucible where legends were forged. This wasn't just a race, it was the ultimate test of raw speed and unyielding spirit, a dash of roughly 200 yards, determining the fastest man in the world. From 776 BC, the winner of the stadium race was not just crowned with an olive wreath, but immortalized, his name etched into history, often defining the very Olympiad itself. It was in this arena, where every muscle strained, every breath was vital, and every competitor carried the weight of their city-state's honor, that the legend of Dionysius would paradoxically begin to unfold, not through brute force, but through an unexpected, disarming levity. As the call for the first preliminary heat echoed across the sun-drenched arena, a particular figure stepped forward. His name, Dionysius of Tarentum, would soon be spoken with a mixture of bewilderment and delight. Like his peers, Dionysius was entirely naked, adhering to the sacred tradition, yet there was something undeniably different about him. As he began his warm-up, a slight, almost imperceptible wiggle of his hips, a dramatically exaggerated stretch, caused a ripple of murmurs through the crowd. His opponents, initially focused, exchanged quick, confused glances. Was this a jest? A nervous tic? No one could quite place the source of this unsettling, yet undeniably intriguing, deviation from the solemn pre-race ritual. Dionysius wasn't a mocker, nor was he overtly rude. His genius lay in subtlety, in knowing precisely how to plant the seeds of amusement. In subsequent heats, as the tension mounted, his tactics became slightly more pronounced. Before the hisplex, the ancient starting gate, he might hold an exaggerated, theatrical pose for a fraction of a second too long, a comical glance to the sky, or a playful flutter of his eyelashes towards an opponent. He wasn't insulting their prowess. Rather, he was injecting a disarming levity into an atmosphere thick with grim determination. These small, unexpected gestures, performed with a twinkle in his eye, were just enough to break an opponent's razor-sharp focus, creating micro-moments of amusement that fractured their concentration. Consider Philon of Syracuse, a formidable runner, renowned for his unwavering discipline. Initially, Philon dismissed Dionysius as an eccentric, an annoyance to be ignored. But as Dionysius continued his peculiar pre-race routine, a precisely timed, comical lean, or a barely audible, playful hop, at a critical moment, Philon's resolve began to fray. The internal battle was fierce, anger warring with an undeniable, inconvenient amusement. During one crucial sprint, just as the starting gate dropped, Dionysius performed a peculiar, almost balletic hop. Philon, caught off guard, stumbled. Slightly, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips, his carefully constructed mental fortress crumbling. That fractional loss of focus, that moment of internal levity, was enough for Dionysius to gain the critical advantage, leaving Philon to cross the finish line with a mix of frustration and bewildered admiration. What began as a ripple of confusion soon swelled into a tidal wave of appreciation. The austere, solemn atmosphere of Olympia, traditionally reserved for veneration of athletic prowess, began to transform. The crowd, initially perplexed by Dionysius's unconventional approach, slowly but surely caught on. They understood he wasn't disrespecting the games. He was simply playing a different game. His races quickly became the most anticipated event, with spectators leaning forward, not just for the thrill of the sprint, but for the sheer delight of Dionysius's performance. Roars of laughter, genuine and boisterous, began to mix freely with the cheers, creating a unique symphony echoing through the ancient stadium. Dionysius had, quite literally, brought joy to the fiercely competitive arena. The Hellenodikai, the revered judges of the Olympic Games, faced an unprecedented dilemma. These men, draped in purple robes, were the embodiment of tradition and strict adherence to rules. Dionysius was not cheating. He wasn't impeding other runners, nor was he violating any sacred oath. Yet his antics were undeniably disruptive to the solemnity of the games. Their stern, authoritative faces, etched with years of upholding tradition, would often show the slightest tremor. A subtle shift in expression, a hand discreetly covering a nascent smile, or a quick, conflicted glance exchanged between colleagues. They were custodians of ancient law, but even they, deep down, found Dionysius's audacious display utterly, inconveniently, amusing. Their internal struggle highlighted the unique challenge Dionysius posed to the very fabric of ancient competition. As Dionysius progressed to the semifinals, the stakes soared and the pressure was immense. Each victory was more improbable than the last, transforming him from a curious novelty into a genuine contender. Now, his unique strategy was not a random act, but a honed craft. He knew which opponents were susceptible to his charm, understanding their tells, their breaking points. He perfected the timing of his subtle comedic strikes, delivering them with surgical precision at the exact moment to cause maximum disruption. The tension was palpable. Competitors knew what was coming, but couldn't seem to resist the primal human response to genuine amusement. Dionysius wasn't just running. He was performing a psychological ballet, dancing his way closer to an unimaginable glory. But how could something as seemingly innocuous as laughter be a weapon in the gladiatorial arena of ancient Olympia? We delve deeper into the psychological science behind Dionysius's method. Laughter is not merely a distraction. It's a primal human response, deeply embedded in our cognitive and emotional wiring. It can disarm, relax, and, crucially, disrupt competitive focus by activating different neural pathways than those required for intense concentration. When an opponent's brain is forced to process an unexpected, amusing stimulus, it momentarily pulls resources away from the single-minded task of sprinting. Dionysius intuitively understood this ancient truth. In an environment demanding absolute seriousness, levity became his most formidable, most unexpected, and ultimately, most effective weapon. As the dust settled from the preliminary heats, the finalists for the stadium race emerged, titans of the track, each a testament to years of rigorous training and unwavering discipline. There was Theron of Athens, known for his explosive start, Lycurgus of Sparta, whose endurance was legendary, and the formidable Damon of Argos, a picture of honed muscle and unyielding focus. These men embodied the very spirit of Greek competition, stoic, relentless, and driven by an almost sacred desire for victory. Yet, Dionysius's peculiar antics in the earlier rounds had begun to sow a subtle seed of frustration. Their expressions, usually models of fierce concentration, now carried a faint, unsettling flicker of annoyance, perhaps even suppressed amusement. The upcoming final would demand not just physical superiority, but an unprecedented mental fortitude against the most unexpected weapon imaginable. The day of the stadium final dawned, brilliant and charged with an almost palpable energy. The hallowed grounds of Olympia buzzed, a kaleidoscope of humanity gathered from across the Hellenic world. Tens of thousands crammed into the stadium, their eager whispers and roars echoing against the sun-baked stone. This was the pinnacle, the culmination of 4 years of anticipation. As the athletes gathered at the starting line, the air itself seemed to crackle with destiny. For Theron, Lycurgus, and Damon, it was a familiar crucible. But for Dionysius, standing amidst them with an almost serene, mischievous smile. This was his ultimate test. Could his unconventional method truly triumph against the raw, unadulterated power and focus of Olympia's finest? The moment of truth had arrived. Then, the trumpet blared, the official's arm dropped, and the race exploded into motion. The roar of the crowd intensified, but amidst the conventional fury of straining muscles and pounding feet, Dionysius began his audacious performance. He ran with a unique, almost balletic grace, his every movement a finely tuned instrument of distraction. A playful glance over his shoulder, a perfectly timed wink at Theron, a mock stumble that sent a ripple of chuckles through the front row, forcing Lycurgus to break stride for a fraction of a second. His expressions were a masterclass in disarming charm, a symphony of smiles and theatrical flourishes. Each subtle antic, each perfectly pitched gesture, chipped away at his rival's ironclad focus, disrupting their rhythm and transforming their determined grimaces into fleeting, bewildered grins. The final stretch. Theron, Damon, and Lycurgus, their breathing ragged, their concentration fragmented by Dionysius's relentless, charming assault, pushed with every ounce of their being. But the spell had been cast. The continuous, unexpected intrusions of humor had dulled their cutting edge, replaced their competitive fury with a disorienting haze of amusement and frustration. Then, in a moment that would forever rewrite the annals of Olympic history, Dionysius surged forward. With a final, triumphant, almost celebratory flourish, he crossed the finish line. The crowd erupted not just in cheers, but in a wave of astonished, joyous laughter. Dionysius had secured the coveted olive wreath, not through sheer physical dominance alone, but by harnessing the potent, disarming power of human mirth. An unprecedented victory, a champion forged in laughter. In the breathless aftermath, the ceremony took on an ethereal quality. Before the assembled masses and the solemn judges, Dionysius stood, naked and radiant, not just from the exertion, but from the sheer audacity of his triumph. When the Hellenodikai, the Olympic judges, placed the wild olive wreath upon his brow, it was more than just a symbol of athletic supremacy. It was a crown of unique glory, acknowledging a victory unlike any witnessed in the game's venerable history. His name, Dionysius of Icaria, was etched into the official records, destined to be whispered and retold for generations. He was the champion who won by making his opponents laugh, a legend born from wit, charm, and an utterly audacious understanding of human nature. The very air around him seemed to shimmer with the weight of an unparalleled legacy. Dionysius's victory reverberated far beyond the stadium walls, sparking intense debate and awe across the entire Greek world. News of the laughing champion spread like wildfire, reaching every city-state from Sparta to Miletus. Was this true athleticism? Did he cheat the spirit of competition by using psychology instead of brute force alone? Philosophers debated in the agoras, soldiers argued in their barracks, and poets penned verses celebrating his wit. But amidst the controversy, a new paradigm began to emerge. Dionysius had not merely showcased physical strength. He had demonstrated an unparalleled mastery of the mental game, the power of charisma, and an innate understanding of human vulnerability. His triumph forced a radical reevaluation. Perhaps strength wasn't just about muscle and speed, but about the ability to control the battlefield within the minds of your rivals. Like many extraordinary figures from antiquity, Dionysius' story soon became interwoven with the rich tapestry of Greek myth and legend. As generations passed, the precise details blurred, exaggerated by countless retellings. Whispers claimed he was blessed by the Muses, or perhaps even a descendant of Dionysius himself, whose namesake god of revelry and ecstasy seemed a fitting patron. Was he a real, flesh-and-blood athlete, a historical anomaly whose unique triumph shook the very foundations of the games? Or did his legend become a cultural embodiment, a timeless parable about the triumph of wit over might, of the unexpected power of joy in the face of rigid tradition? The lines between history and myth, often porous in the ancient world, grew fainter still around the incredible tale of the Olympian who won by making his opponents laugh. Dionysius's audacious victory, born of laughter and unconventional genius, prompts a profound question. Is humor truly a timeless weapon, a strategy far more potent than brute force alone? From the negotiation tables of diplomacy, where a well-placed joke can disarm tension, to the boardrooms of business, where wit can forge unexpected alliances, the power of a smile to change the game endures. Even in modern sports, psychologists recognize the vital role of mental fortitude and the subtle art of distraction. The story of the laughing champion reminds us that victory isn't always forged in sweat and steel. Sometimes it is won with a knowing grin, a playful glance, and the unexpected, disarming power of human connection. Perhaps the greatest strength lies not just in what we can endure, but in our capacity to surprise, to charm, and to simply make the world and our rivals laugh. Even if the tale of Dionysius, the laughing victor, skirts the edges of pure legend, its resonance echoes through millennia. This isn't just a quirky footnote in ancient athletic history. It's a profound commentary on the very nature of competition and triumph. In an era defined by brutal strength and unwavering solemnity, Dionysius, if he existed, offered a radical counter-narrative. That victory doesn't always demand a grimace of determination, but sometimes a disarming grin. His story, whispered across time, serves as a timeless reminder that true strength isn't solely physical, nor solely mental, but can reside in the audacious spirit of challenging convention. It champions the lighter touch, the unexpected gesture, the power of joy to disarm and ultimately to conquer. Dionysius, whether myth or man, became a symbol that a smile, truly, can be the most potent weapon of all, leaving an indelible mark on the hallowed grounds of Olympia and on our collective imagination, a testament to the enduring power of laughter in the face of impossible odds. Our journey through the annals of ancient Olympia concludes, leaving us with the indelible, indeed astonishing, image of Dionysius, the naked Olympian who confounded convention and triumphed by making his opponents laugh. From the sacred tracks to the wrestling pits, we've explored the fascinating historical backdrop that allowed such a legend to emerge, examining the traditions of nudity and the intense competitive spirit that defined the ancient games. Dionysius, with his audacious strategy, transformed the very arena into a stage for psychological mastery, turning the solemn pursuit of victory into an unexpected comedy, and ultimately a stunning success. Whether his tale is entirely factual, embellished by centuries of oral tradition, or a masterful blend of history and myth, its message resonates deeply. Dionysius' story offers profound insights into the nature of competition itself, reminding us that the battlefield is often as much in the mind as in the physical realm. It underscores the extraordinary power of human psychology, demonstrating how a truly unique approach, even one rooted in humor and unexpected vulnerability, can disarm and overcome the most formidable adversaries. It teaches us the surprising strength of a lighthearted spirit, even in the face of intense pressure. As the echoes of ancient cheers fade, we are left to ponder the true meaning of strength and strategy. Was Dionysius a jester, a genius, or both? His legacy, whether legend or fact, endures as a powerful testament that sometimes the most potent weapon isn't the sharpest spear or the strongest arm, but the disarming power of a smile, the unexpected force of a laugh, paving a unique path to naked glory.